create that product that you would love. You look at the greatest creators of our time and, go back to George Lucas and Star Wars and Pixar and all these, they said they were trying to create movies that they would love. I sat as a baseball player that played my whole life and loved playing the game. But as soon as I started watching, I was like, I'm bored. I've seen doubles, I've seen home runs, I've seen strikeouts, I've seen close games, but I'm bored. I said, what would make it so every night I can see something that I've never seen before and then create that for our fans? And so that really was the starting point. And when we started in Savannah, the iteration was, hey, every night we're going to do something we've never done before in front of a live crowd. From the banana baby that we lifted up that first night and had a baby in a banana costume and saying, nah, Savannah, to our breakdancing coach dancing, literally never happened before while he's coaching first base. Every night we were trying something. And the more we tried, the faster we learned how people responded. And now we do 15 plus things brand new every single night with every single team. It's the speed of learning that gives us the opportunity to find out what works, what doesn't work, and then by next night be even further ahead than we were even before. And that's why people say overnight success. It's years in the making, but we're just growing very, very fast because of the learning curve.
Hey there, Lead the Team Nation, a special one, a super special one with the one and only Jesse Cole, known as the guy in the yellow tuxedo, who is the founder of Fans First Entertainment and the owner of the world famous Savannah Bananas. With the mantra, fans first, entertain always, the Bananas are always on a mission to make baseball fun. By creating the greatest show in sports, the team has sold out every game since their inaugural season in Savannah and has grown a ticket waiting list of more than 2 million fans from all over the world with more than 15 million social media followers. In addition to Banana Land, y'all check that out, a 5-part documentary original series on ESPN Plus. The Savannah Bananas are just getting started. Jesse's also proud inventor of the fastest and most entertaining game of baseball called Banana Ball. And Banana Ball, check this out, puts a fun twist on traditional baseball with new rules featuring a 2-hour time limit, no walks, no bunting, no stepping out of bounds, no mound visits, and best of all, y'all catch this, literally catch this, fans can catch a foul ball and then generate an out in the game. And he is the not so proud promoter of Grandma Beauty Pageant, the Human Horse Race, the Living Pinata, and Flatulence Fun Night. That's right. And no wonder 98% of the crowd stays until the end of the game. And this is a congratulatory, celebratory episode because they just had their largest crowd in Savannah Banana history, playing in front of a 42,000 sellout crowd at National Park. Jesse, welcome to Lead the Team.
Thank you for that intro. Great to be with you, my friend.
Woo. So, man, y'all, this was a difficult one to prepare for. As I was telling Jesse, because there's so many different ways to go. But looking back, okay, from the time where you moved to Savannah, you founded the Savannah Bananas, and now today selling out a crowd of 42,000 in front of Nationals Park, what pivotal decisions did you make along the way? Just thinking back, that really helped keep you on this crazy trajectory.
Well, I think the biggest thing was to put ourselves in our fans' shoes. So often, I think sports teams or business, they follow what everyone else is doing. And we said, no, let's look at what all the friction points, all the frustration points, everything that's challenging for a fan in watching a baseball game. And that really was one of the biggest decisions because that made us name the team Fans First. And we became all about fans first entertainment and entertaining always. And we looked at the game as, too many, too long, too slow, too boring. You get nickel and dime. There's advertisements everywhere. We looked at all those little friction points and said, well, what if we did the opposite? And one of our Fans First principles is whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. I learned right away when we first started, if you do something normal, you're going to get normal results or even worse, because we tried marketing like everyone else and promoting like everyone else and doing social media and radio and TV. When we first came to Savannah, and we only sold a handful of tickets in our first few months. And my wife and I had to sell our house, empty out our savings account. We were about to miss payroll, and it was brutal. And that's when we said, we're just going to create attention, be dramatically different, and focus on the fan every step of the way. And that was the biggest decision because it's the ethos of our company. Everything that we do, we say, all right, would a fan love this? Or where's that possible friction? And when we go to new stadiums like Nationals Park, we learn new friction points. When we go to anywhere around the country, we learn these things, and then we have to adapt quickly to try to make it a better fan experience.
Wow. Y'all, learning all on the way, because it's only been 7 years, right? Since that moment that you talked about. Is that right? 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, 2015 is when we came to Savannah. 2016 was our first season, so it's in a short period of time.
So in that time, you had a really difficult start, and now you're selling it out with millions, I mean, millions of people on the wait list. What is this process of iteration? Or I guess it's not, maybe it's beyond iteration. You're learning at such a fast pace, making changes, inventing banana ball.
Yeah.
Like, what is the process? Was it just like a series of ahas or iterations, or what is it?
Well, it's one of our advanced principles, also constantly curious. So we are obsessed with
Mm.
learning. So when we first started, again, people don't realize I spent 10 years with a small team in Gastonia, North Carolina, learning before we even took on Savannah, my wife and I. I mean, I had so many failed promotions and dig to China nights and grandma beauty pageants and so many things. I mean, our first few games, only hundreds of people came, and the team was failing before I came there. But I started learning from P.T. Barnum and Walt Disney and WWE and Cirque du Soleil and Grateful Dead and Amazon and Apple and some of the greatest customer experience, greatest product focused businesses, and said, we have to create a better product, a better experience. And so when we came to Savannah, again, we said, we hate people getting nickel and dimed at a sporting event. So we said, we're going to have no ticket fees, no convenient fees, no service fees, and all of our food's going to be included. Burgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, soda, water, popcorn, dessert. And when we started, it was $15 total. And it was like, create that product that you would love. You look at the greatest creators of our time and go back to George Lucas and Star Wars and Pixar and all these, they said they were trying to create movies that they would love. So I sat as a baseball player that played my whole life and loved playing the game. But as soon as I started watching, I was like, I'm bored. I've seen doubles, I've seen home runs, I've seen strikeouts, I've seen close games, but I'm bored. Yeah. I said, what would make it so every night I can see something that I've never seen before and then create that for our fans? And so, that really was the starting point. And when we started in Savannah, the iteration was, hey, every night we're going to do something we've never done before in front of a live crowd. Every night. So from the banana baby that we lifted up that first night and had a baby in a banana costume and saying, nah, Savannah, to our breakdancing coach dancing, literally never happened before while he's coaching first base. Every night we were trying something. And the more we tried, the faster we learned how people responded. And now we do 15 plus things brand new every single night with every single team. And so it's the speed of learning that gives us the opportunity to find out what works, what doesn't work, and then by next night be even further ahead than we were even before. And that's why people say overnight success. It's years in the making, but we're just growing very, very fast because of the learning curve that we're developing every single night.
15 new things a night.
Yes, and that's the biggest challenge that we have. Right now I'm in the middle. I just literally walked out of our OTT meeting with our creative and marketing team where we have 5 games this week. We have 2 different tours going on and we have to come up with 15 things for 5 different nights. And then I have another player OTT meeting, then a broadcast OTT meeting, and then there's also our entertainment OTT meeting with our entertainment group. So on Tuesdays is our creative day. We just pitch, and start creating our scripts for the whole weekend.
Wow. All right. So right now you've got a culture of established in this. Like they know we have to do this. This is who we are. What did you do? Because baseball is a game of tradition. I mean, they've added a couple of clocks and stuff like that.
But this is not a time of tradition. So I believe in honoring traditions, but this right now and where we are and the way the world is moving and how fast it's moving and people can get entertained every 7 seconds on TikTok, we are getting personalized for you entertainment right at your fingertips every second. We're seeing news in a different way. We're seeing media in a different way. We're seeing AI in a different way. If you're stuck on tradition, you're behind. And so for us, we said, we're not going to focus on what the tradition is. We're going to focus on where our future fans are going. And if you focus on where your future fans are going and where they want to be entertained quickly, they want to be able to have a convenient experience where they can have it their way and not just say, this is the way the game used to be. We're focused on what the game could be. And so that's where we're going. And that's what we focus on daily.
Could you walk us through what these creative meetings look like? Like you walk in, you're in your yellow tux, you say, y'all, we've got a bunch of games coming up. We got to have a lot of ideas.
Now I'm from south of Boston. If I'm from south of Boston, so if I open with y'all, they'd say, what happened to Jesse? So I don't go directly.
Okay. There are a few people in Savannah that say y'all, but not if you're from Boston.
And I've acclimated a little bit, but no, it's so we come in with ideas. The biggest thing is everyone says, let's have a brainstorm session. Let's get together and brainstorm. No, you have to have Steve Jobs said it best. People don't know what they want until they see it. If we just come in here and say, oh, let's just brainstorm. No, write down ideas. Let's have a plan of attack and start sharing. And those we can work off. We need something in front of us that we can see, that we can feel, that we can understand. We want videos that we can actually show to the group. So we'll have a bucket. And it may be, what are crazy boy band entrances we can do when players come up. All right. What is something with firefighters that we can do that shows their courage and their strength? What is something with the party animals? A different way of what are the craziest parties that we can do in the crowd with our fans? And we come up with a bucket, and then we each come with 3, 5, 7, 10 ideas. And then we just start pitching. And what we do is we think about, do we love it? Do we actually want to do it? It's crazy it is, but if we like it, if we get excited about that, if we laugh, I watch the group. If the group is laughing on something, we're going to find a way to do that, because if we're laughing, there's a good chance other people are going to laugh.
Okay.
And then we have our team. We start writing things on the whiteboard. We say, all right, what are our entrances? What are our celebrations? What are our dances? What are our things from the crowd? And we start putting these all, and that's how we develop our scripts every night. And we followed the model of Saturday Night Live, who did a similar Monday's their pitch session. Tuesday, they start writing it together. Wednesday, they do table reads. Then they start getting the sets. Then on Saturday, they do rehearsals. And then they do a live show in front of a group at 8 o'clock. And then they actually they cut things out that don't go well in front of a live crowd. And then at 11:30, it's showtime. We follow that model every week, but we're doing it 3, 5, 6 times a week as opposed to just one night.
So could you walk us through the iterations on one of your most memorable creative wins?
I mean, people think about, there's big moments that we do. Like for instance, we did a Pixar entrance last year that I think got 100 million views. And so,
only 100 million views.
Well, the team would say, Jesse, you were against this. And I was. And so they did it at a game I wasn't at. And so I'm so proud of them for actually. So we look at those iconic moments and those iconic things that we can connect with. And so the Pixar was the lamp, boom, 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 and then it jumps on, and then it looks and it spells the word Pixar. And I was like, that's creative. I just can't see the live crowd getting excited about it. But they were like, Jesse, everyone knows how a Pixar movie starts. If we have one of our hitters dress up as that lamp, do the bounce, do the wiggle, and then jump up, and we have a player with a P, an X, an A, and an R, and then he forms the I and just looks at the crowd like this, we think it'll hit. And it went out, and the crowd actually did laugh, and it won. And so I love seeing how people fight for ideas. Jesse, I want to do this. Let's do this. We think we'll do this. And then we think about how will it play for a digital crowd, but also how will it play for a live crowd. We try to find that's the gold standard. Will the live crowd cheer, go nuts, go crazy? Will the digital crowd also respond? That's what we're always looking for.
Wow. That's a good message to leaders to be thinking about, because you don't have to have this hit in isolation. Hey, this is for the in crowd, this is for the in-person group. This is for maybe even the hybrid group on Zoom, or for recording later if it's going to be an external thing. You can think about it from both ways.
You got to work backwards. And that's a great lesson from Amazon. Work backwards from the perfect customer experience. Work backwards from what would make this perfect. And then you have to look at perfect, you have to look at every one of your audience members. And so for us, I think about, it's not only our fans live, it's our broadcast that we're showing, it's our digital that we'll share on social. It's also our team and our staff. What does this share to them? How do they take this message if we do this? So I'm thinking about 3 to 4 audiences whenever we do anything. And that's how you get a message that it's controlled. And I think a lot of people with messages that aren't controlled, it can blow up as a leader. And it's like, that message wasn't intended to hit that way. You have to think about your entire audience.
Yeah. And it's obviously working. I mean, and I know you don't necessarily compare yourself to Major League Baseball because you're thinking about other things, but you do have a much bigger following, I believe, on social media than all of Major League Baseball teams individually, right? Than the Yankees or the Red Sox, I believe.
Yes, but as Theodore Roosevelt would say, comparison is the thief of joy. So we don't spend any time comparing or thinking about our competitors. We spend all our time thinking about our customers and our fans and our people. And so we are competing against ourselves. We are our biggest competition. I think daily, what could we do to put ourselves out of business? And that's what people don't realize. 4 years ago, we shut down our business. It was a very successful business. We were a college summer baseball team that was selling out every single game. We had won 2 straight championships. We had a great financial model, business model in the college landscape. It was tremendous. And I said, you know what? No, there's going to be a faster, more entertaining, more exciting game that is better for the fans that's going to come along. Let's be the ones to actually invent it and shut down our previous business and start a brand new one where we were criticized like crazy. We lost a lot of fans. Oh, you guys are just forming a circus. This is Jesse's clown show, Jesse's joke. I saw so much about that. But I believe sometimes if you're not getting criticized, you're playing it too safe. And so we got criticized because we were thinking big. We were doing something big. And that's the route we were going to go. We were competing against ourselves to create a better product, a better experience. And we're still doing it every day. And that's what I've learned from the greatest companies. They're always competing against themselves.
Where does this, I'll say, go for it mindset come from? Is this sort of like nature or versus nurture? Have you always been the person who's like, man, I got this big idea, we're going to rally the troops and go for it? Or is this something that you're inspired by, or what?
My biggest fear in life is settling. I don't like settling. I don't like the idea of just complacency. I don't like the idea of standing still. I don't like the idea of boredom. I think I've been always chasing excitement, chasing fun. And I said, well, why don't we create that ourselves? And so, and yes, it can be challenging for some people. It's like, whoa, we played in front of 100,000 fans a few years ago. We played in front of 1 million this year. We're probably gonna play in front of 2 million next year and 3 million and just keep doing that, which is just wild. But I feel I have a responsibility to the fans. I have a responsibility for our team to continue to do creative, fun things that are worthy of, getting excited about on a daily basis. And so I don't think anybody really gets excited about doing the same thing over and over again. I think we're all hungry for something new, something fresh, something that we can really, a challenge. And so that's, for me, it's been kind of my ethos, my makeup. I'm still trying to make my dad proud. I was an only child that my dad raised me, and I was fortunate that he celebrated my successes as a kid. And I'm still that guy that now he travels around the country, and after every game he's there, he hugs me, and I know we feel that. But I want to make my kids proud now, and I want to create something really special. So it's my ethos, but I think a lot of the high performers, wow, they have that. So
one of the things that comes up for me in my research, and y'all, there's Jesse's out there. You were out sharing your ideas beyond baseball all the time and always seeking to inspire. But it feels like you're seeking your inspiration to, like you mentioned, like you could have easily said, well, hey, we're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. Instead, you're saying Grateful Dead, improvising every night, right? You're not, you haven't said one single baseball superstar or coach or anything about baseball in terms of your inspiration. You said P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, Steve Jobs. And I think as leaders, what comes to me is, man, who are we looking up to? Are we looking up the traditional way for our inspiration? And then we're going to become more like that. But if we're willing to look beyond the channel we're in, something 100%. Bigger.
Well, your input affects your output. And often we as leaders, we stay so much in our bubble that we are just learning for people inside our industry and inside our bubble. And yeah, I get so much more inspiration from outside our industry and say, how do you bring this into? Who are the best in the world at other things, entertainment, customer experience, driving those fans? Who are the best in the world at? And it's like the Globetrotters, they fundamentally changed the game of basketball in the 1940s and 50s. I mean, they beat NBA teams, but then they said, hey, we're going to create a similar show every night. And I thought, no, then at some point, people will become bored with that. And I want people to be able to come to our shows every night and see something different, like Grateful Dead, who they could play 3 nights and they won't play the same song once. That's unbelievable. How could we do that? And that's a huge stretch. And you look at Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia died almost 30 years ago or whatever it is, and they are still selling out everywhere because they built that fan, they built those fans. And so I'm focused on those long-term fans over short-term profits. And to do that, you have to get so much inspiration from the best companies that create fans, and not just customers, create fans. There are fans of Chick-fil-A. There are fans of Starbucks. There are fans of Ritz-Carlton. There are fans of Disney. I think the fan is the key terminology, not just a customer, a client, or a guest, a fan.
So even with incredible fans and adoring fans, and with all these interesting sources of inspiration from other places, you've got to face burnout at some part. 15 ideas for every game. You're creating, the expectations are high every game, right? Savannah Bananas, like you have to blow my mind, Jesse. How are you carrying, avoiding burnout and keeping going when you know the expectations, like you're creating your own expectations out there?
Sure, and I'll go into the question, but I think the first key is to challenge yourself on the language that you use. So you just use burnout. Burnout is such to me a negative word that immediately has a connotation of something like it's all over. I'm burnt out. All right. We don't use burnout. We don't use off season. We don't use failure. We don't use manager because people want to be led. They don't want to be managed. We don't use training because dogs are trained. Humans are coached. Humans are educated. They're taught. Everything we think about is language. And so if you start using that language in your business, in your company, with your people, all of a sudden they're going to start feeling it. Yeah, it's again, you surround yourself. If you surround yourself with positive people, positive worlds come. Now, I'm not talking about Pollyanna. Everything's great. We talk about challenging things. But if you're always talking about people like failure, failure, failure. Oh, if you're on the outside, we fail every single night. Doing 10 to 15 things, we're failing every single night. But if we're talking about, oh, guys, we failed on 8 things tonight. We failed on 9 things tonight. All of a sudden, we're going to stop trying things because we're going to think of failure as the worst thing that could ever happen. So if we start talking about burnout, 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 people are going to start feeling it and seeing it. It's like, no, we're not burnout. What are we doing to create energy? What are we doing to, we look at it. So we look at our trips and it's like, all right, what are we doing to make sure that our people feel as energized at the end of the tour as they did at the beginning? What do we do to make sure they feel energized at the middle of this trip as enter? And so we ask those questions constantly. And so for us, yes. If you ask myself, my wife, we should be getting more sleep. We need to get better. But I know we're in the first inning and we're going to learn. Our 2023 tour, we did 33 cities. We'd go play a Sunday, a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday. We'd be all over the country. This year, we eliminated all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday games so we could get back and get some rest. Okay. I've committed to that. Just like Chick-fil-A, no Sundays. All right. We committed to no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. Could we play places Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and sell them out? Fortunately, yes, but we're not doing that. So we can get a lot better. We had 2 tours going on at once, and that was an unbelievable challenge for our staff. So the question next is, all right, what do we do to make sure that we have extra full organization off weekends, so that we can get better? So how do you do it? You do things that give you energy first. You have an energy list. We developed this. I write down everything that gives me energy. It's creating, sharing, and growing. Right now with you, I'm sharing, I'm actually creating, and I'm growing because I'm learning from you and your questions. So
and your energy is 10x higher. It was already high, and now it's even higher since we jumped on.
Exactly. So how do you want to avoid burnout? You do things that give you energy. You talk to your team and say, hey, what gives you energy every day? And how do we build it that you're doing that most of the time? The things that don't give you energy, you hire people that do give them energy, or maybe you don't even have to do it. And so it all starts with energy. And luckily, I do things most of my day that gives me energy, that at the end of the night, I can be a great dad to my kids and a great husband to my wife because I did things throughout the day, even though it was a ton of things, but I did things that gave me energy.
So we don't have a ton of time left, but I want to make sure to hit this. I was really piqued my interest thinking about your thank you notes. What was the inspiration behind that? And what did you notice by the 500th thank you note that you'd written?
So John Gordon, it's been an inspiration for me. A lot of his books, The Energy Bush, Energy Bus, probably an Energy Bush out there. I'll go look for that. But The Energy Bus, The Carpenter, and then the one word. And basically, instead of coming up with a New Year's resolution, the idea, concept has come up one word that you pay attention to every year and you focus on every year. And it simplifies your goals. New Year's resolution, one word. What are you thinking about? What do you keep in front of you at all times? So my word was care. This was, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I said, well, how can I actually show that and demonstrate that? So what if I wrote a thank you letter every single day? And so then I committed to it. I bought custom thank you letters. I was like, I'm going to buy them and keep them on my desk in front of me. Took the next step to get it done. And then I wrote a list of all the people in my life, teachers, coaches, authors, entrepreneurs, teammates, people that I've worked with, anybody. And I got to like 50 or 60 people. I was like, all right, there's 365 days in the year. I'm gonna have to work hard. But because I had that lens of looking for gratitude everywhere I saw every day, I started seeing a new person that I could write a thank you to, a new person. And it fundamentally changed my life. One of my first ones was to Simon Sinek, How Great Leaders Inspire Action.
Love it.
And start with why it changed me, understanding that we're not just about baseball and entertainment, we're about bringing people together. And that's everything. And the love that we can share and the joy. And so I sent him a thank you letter. And this was 6, 7 years ago. I got a call from an unknown phone number. And this was back when you answered calls from unknown phone numbers. And I answered it. And it was, Jesse, it's Simon Sinek here. I go, shut up. Who is it? He goes, it's Simon Sinek. I just want to call you and tell you how much your thank you letter inspired me. He goes, my why is to help people live inspired lives. And you inspired me. And so for like a minute and 41 seconds, I talked to someone who really made a big inspiration in me. And I was like, wow, a simple thank you letter. And he called me. And from teachers that wrote a 6-page response letter and said, I've never received a thank you letter like this. I've taught for 30 years. And just made me so sad, but also made me feel so purposeful in what I was doing. And so now it changes more. I do this. I take out my phone, and 3-4 times a week, I have about 15 or 20, and I do thank you videos to people, and just so they get that right in their touch. Because mail, so many people don't get their mail. So I do now thank you videos, and they get that instead of a text message, instead of an email, they get to personally see how something they did impacted me and affected me. Gratitude is everything. If you talk about burnout earlier, if you're going through challenges, you're going through adversity, change and think about gratitude. It changes everything. As soon as you spread gratitude, you feel good about everything. I think Booker T. Washington said, if you want to lift yourself up, lift others up. And it's true. It really makes a difference.
Last question. One day when your last Savannah Banana baseball game comes and goes, what do you hope your legacy will be?
I asked that question in my first book that I wrote when I was, 9-10 years ago, 30 years old, 31 years old. I wrote Find Your Yellow Tux, and I wrote, how do you want to be remembered? How will you be remembered? And I actually wrote my obituary, which writing it as a 30-year-old, 31-year-old, it's actually changed probably dramatically now. I had no kids, had a different life, but I think it's a good question to ask, how will you be remembered? And for me, it's very easy to point like, oh, I did this, did that. It's 100% on the impact on others. I think about if I can help spread joy around the world. Right now, we are hungry for fun. We are hungry for joy more than ever. And so I think about it, if I can look at my kids, the people I work with, just to bring energy, fun, and joy to everything they touch. I don't care about millions and billions. Yes, do I hope we entertain billions of people? Yes, 1 billion people. I've said that. All of that, that's nice. But just if you can see someone that every day they have a bounce to their step, they're bringing joy to others, and that spreads like a catalyst around the world, I feel like I'd be pretty proud of the life that I lived.
A true delivery of a chill from the legacy. Jesse, thank you for coming on Lead the Team today. What's your parting thought for our listeners? I know I said last question. Here's your real last question. What's your parting thought?
The back of our first ever Fans First playbook, when we first started the Savannah Bananas, it said, be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. And I'll leave you with that.